What is up, everybody? Welcome to D9 Sports Talk. I'm your host, Dylan Nicely, and I started this YouTube channel to talk about the NFL, the NBA, give some fantasy advice. I'm a pretty solid fantasy player, currently 1-1-3 in all my leagues, so making the playoffs in every single one of them. I understand we're starting this late in the NFL season, so some of it is going to be about the past of currently, like to catch us up to currently in the NFL. And some of it will be, from now going forward, probably more of that, since nobody cares about the past at this point, and what's happened has happened. I am a Minnesota Vikings fan, so most of my content is going to be around the Minnesota Vikings. So let's dive into that right now and talk a little bit about Kirk Cousins, who's kind of the focal point of all the Minnesota Vikings conversations. I believe that Cousins is a solid quarterback. Now, don't get me wrong, there's probably 10 quarterbacks in the league right now I would take over Cousins, but that doesn't mean Cousins can't take us to the promised land, to the Super Bowl, right? We saw Jared Goff take the Rams to the Super Bowl. We saw Jimmy Garoppolo take the Niners to the Super Bowl, and I would rather have Cousins over both of those people. I mean, there's very similar quarterbacks in the aspect of they take care of the ball, except Cousins is more efficient. He gets the ball downfield a little bit better without the liability of interceptions. Okay? He has a little bit of a fumble problem, but it's kind of not on him when he's taking sacks or he's getting rushed a lot, because our O-line is a terrible passing O-line. Great run O-line, terrible passing O-line. So I think the Cousins hate we can back off of a little bit, right? I mean, he is a solid quarterback. He can get us there. I think a lot of Cousins' woes is more around Clint Kubiak and his play calling. Okay, you can see we always go down. We usually score on the first drive. And then we get the ball back. We usually can go down and score again. But then Kubiak starts changing up his play call. Instead of staying aggressive, keeping the pedal to the floor, he lets up a little bit. Hey, we're going to run the ball 3 straight times, and we get 2 yards, and now we're punting because it's 4th and 8. So, I feel like a lot of the problems in our offense side of the ball, is around Kubiak. Okay? He just is not a great offensive coordinator. He can be great until he decides, oh, we have a good lead, let's just try to let's try not to lose this game instead of winning. Now, I'm not saying we need to not give Dalvin Cook the ball. I'm not saying that at all. He's probably the most important part of the offense. But we also need to be able to keep the ball in Cousins' hands. Okay? Especially with the weapons we have on the outside, with Justin Jefferson in his second year just being a complete monster. Can't be stopped. Adam Thielen, the most sure-handed pass catcher in the league, and probably the best route runner in the league. Then now we have KJ Osborne coming on as a very solid third option for Cousins, who Cousins has said several times he likes playing with and he trusts him. And we have a Conklin at tight end, who is being phenomenal. Okay, he's always sure-handed, catching the balls when he needs to, making plays. So I think that our offense is fine. A lot of the problems is around our defense. Now, I'm a big Zimmer supporter, but when you are a defensive-minded head coach and we have the defensive players we do on defense, our defense should not be giving up the points that we're giving up. So I'm not saying we need to fire Zimmer per se. Maybe if we could just demote him to defensive coordinator, bring someone else in, an offensive-minded head coach as our head coach, and then just get rid of Kubiak, because Kubiak I can't express enough the hatred I have towards his play calling. It is not good. I mean, it's okay at best. My thoughts about the Minnesota Vikings is going to be more, we are good enough, I think we are good enough to get to the Super Bowl. Maybe, probably not this year. That is something, whether it's a front office needs to change, maybe we can get a little bit more support on that defense. We are missing Ev right now. We're also missing Hunter, who is just a complete animal on that defensive end, just constantly disrupting quarterbacks. So maybe once we get those pieces back, we'll be we'll be better on the defense. I mean, we're leading the NFL in sacks, so that is impressive in its own right. But once we start breaking down, it's just terrible. Our 2-minute defense, terrible. If people want to go down the field and score, they just drive on us, and we don't do anything about it. They just find their way into the end zone. So that's kind of my thoughts around Minnesota, where they're currently sitting right now. I don't have really too many answers. I mean, those are my suggestions. A lot of you probably would disagree with a lot of that and say Cousins the problem, and be like, oh, well, maybe if we had somebody like Patrick Mahomes, he could come over those woes. And as you can see from the beginning of this year, when they had a 4-game losing streak, that is not the case. Even Patrick Mahomes can't come over terrible defenses giving up a lot of points. Okay? So let's kind of dive into the games that we have going on to this week. So Saturday night, Patriots versus Colts. Two up-and-comers in the AFC. Everyone shouldn't say up-and-comers for either of them because they're always have been there. But last year, they're kind of both not really anywhere to be found. The Colts were solid, about the same that they are currently this year. But the Patriots, what they're doing, what old Billy Goat Bill Belichick is doing, that team is amazing. It's outstanding. Hats off to him for sure. So who I think the Patriots would win this game, but I would not be surprised at all if the Colts win. I mean, the Bill Belichick just seems to figure it out. I know he's going to do everything that he possibly can to shut down Jonathan Taylor, who's just been an absolute stud. He's taken over the league, especially now that King Henry is out. You know, hopefully he can come back soon. Kind of wrecked my fantasy league, but we're still number 1, so we're doing all right there. So at the end of the day, for tonight, I'm taking the Patriots. Moving on to Sunday games. Cowboys taking over the Giants. Just don't trust the Giants. I don't even think they have Daniel Jones back yet. Jets versus Miami. Miami's been on a hot streak lately, and they got their running backs back in the backfield. So I think with Myles Gaskin, who's really been coming on later in the season, definitely can help out Tua and moving the chains. Arizona, very easy pick over the Lions, even with D-Hop out. Another person I'm missing desperately in my fantasy leagues currently, but it's time for AJ Green to step it up. That's why they brought him there. It's why they wanted that second veteran presence in their wideouts. So it's time for him to step it up. The doozy between Houston and Jacksonville. With all of the problems Jacksonville took this week, it's going to be very difficult for them, I think, to win a game. I could be wrong. Came out, talking to a lot of my friends at the beginning of the season saying, hey, Urban Meyer is not going to be that guy for Jacksonville. Proven to be right with all the scandals he has coming on and his coaching methods, obviously completely different from going from college to the NFL. I mean, look at Saban, right? He didn't even make it long at all in the NFL, and he's probably the greatest college coach that, or at least currently in college, possibly all time. I don't really follow college that much, so I could be wrong. And then we have Carolina versus Buffalo, and that's a tricky one to me. Now, the smart bet is obviously for Buffalo, but something about Josh Allen always playing to the level of his competition makes me think that Carolina could possibly squeak one out here. I know we have no idea what's going on in their quarterback room. I love Cam being back in the offense. I think he gives the city, gives that team just a little bit of juice that they need. I feel like what they should be doing is kind of something similar to what the Saints do with Taysom Hill, like previous years when they had Drew Brees, right? So it'd be PJ Walker would be running the offense most of the game. And then you have a couple design plays for Cam Newton like they did the first week when they signed Cam Newton back to their offense. I think that would promote more winning football than just having Cam go out and take over. Now, I love Cam. Yeah, he's a great person. I understand that's controversial, but he's a down-to-earth person, and I definitely believe he deserves to be in this league. Moving forward, we have the Falcons at Niners. The Niners are just rolling right now. They're one of the hottest teams in the NFL. They're going to be tough to beat, only getting healthier, only getting more people back. So I'm rolling with the Niners. They even got Elijah Mitchell back this week. So that backfield is back to almost 100%. And they're just going to be rolling at this point. Then we have Bengals versus Broncos. I'm taking the Bengals. I was kind of high on the Bengals before the season. They're bringing it together behind their starting quarterback, Joe Burrows. He is becoming an absolute stud in this league, and I'm very excited to see what he can do in the future. And then we have Packers versus Ravens. Got to go with the Packers. They're rolling right now. They are going to be very tough to beat. The Ravens, who knows if Lamar is going to play? Last I checked, he's questionable to return. So if Lamar ain't playing, it's definitely going to be the Packers. I know the odds went up a full point going throughout the week just because of the doubtfulness around Lamar. The next game, Saints at Buccaneers. It's a tough one, only because that Saints defense is nasty. And for some reason, Brady doesn't always play great against the Saints. Still going to go with the Buccaneers. It's hard, very difficult to go against Brady. Maybe if the Saints had Jameis Winston, old 30 for 30 Poppy, maybe they could make something happen. But without him, Taysom Hill starting, going to be very difficult. And then Monday, Raiders at Browns, going with the Browns. I understand they have a lot of COVID problems, but when you got Nick Chubb in the backfield and Dearness Johnson is coming off as an absolute stud, it's hard not to go with those guys. Okay, and then Monday night, we have Vikings at Bears. Gotta roll with the Vikings. I do not believe in Justin Fields at all. I understand sometimes you watch this guy and you're like, hey, he could be a guy. Sometimes I look at him and I'm like, okay, he looks similar to Russell Wilson, the way he moves in the pocket, the way he can sling that thing around. But at the end of the day, Nagy, not a great head coach, and I still don't trust Justin Fields at all. Nothing he does impresses me, honestly. Yeah, he gives me glimpses of Russell Wilson, but he also a lot of it is the Ohio State thing. Like, their quarterbacks do not translate into the NFL very well at all. They're great quarterbacks in the college. Once they get to the NFL, it's completely different, and they just aren't fit to be in the NFL. On Tuesday games, because of the whole COVID problems that we're currently having, we have Washington at Eagles. Going with Washington. I like Washington a lot. I understand Kyle Shermer will be the quarterback for Washington instead of Heineke, but they got Gibson in that backfield. They have their defense has been down. I understand, but my gut's telling me Washington. That's what I'm sticking with. I don't really trust anything that the Eagles do. I understand they're running the ball more at this point, which they should have been doing the whole year, but someone finally talked some sense into them. But Washington, for some reason my gut's telling me to go with Washington, so I'm sticking with it. Then the last game of the week will be Seattle at the Rams. Now this is a tough one. I know everybody's going to say Rams. I don't trust Stafford. Eventually Russell's going to get hot, right? Like, eventually. Like, he has to. It's Russell Wilson. He has great receiving cores with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I mean, those guys are great receivers. So, I think Seattle could pull one out here. Okay? The Rams just came off a big win for them against Arizona. And now going back-to-back division weeks, it's going to be tough for them to figure out. I think it's going to be tough for them to stop the Seattle offense again. I understand that Seattle's been down, but I got faith in them. They're going to pull it around eventually. So those are my picks. Let's go through them one last time. I have Patriots over Colts, Cowboys over Giants, Dolphins over Jets, Cardinals over Lions, Houston over Jacksonville. Carolina over Buffalo. Oh, I skipped this one. The Titans versus Steelers. Going with Tennessee. Tennessee's probably my favorite team in the AFC. A lot of it is around King Henry, but I was always a big advocate for Tannehill, even when he was in Miami. So I'm going with Tennessee. Plus, they have Julio, who's an absolute stud. I understand he's on the down end of his years, but I'm going with Julio. Then I have Niners over Falcons, Bengals over Denver, Packers over Ravens, Buccaneers over Saints, Browns over Raiders, Vikings over Bears, Washington over Eagles, and Seattle with the upset over the Rams. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. I'm open to criticism. I will take it, whether it's bad or good, and hopefully I can improve, make this a little bit more enjoyable for you. Like I said, this is my first time, so I'm just trying to get a feel for it, okay? Any criticism you give me will be helpful. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.